Yeah. Today we're gonna start the QR factorization. Before we start, we will briefly review what we did on power method. Yeah. On power method, we were looking for the largest the eigenvalue which absolute value is the largest, and by using the power method, and there was an errata here, so I fixed it. Since since lambda 1 is the largest eigenvalue, so absolute value of this is less than 1. So after 5 or 10th, or at most 15th power, this will dramatically approach it to 0. So this goes to 0. That guarantees the convergence of this power method algorithm. Okay, so I introduced the power method algorithm and examples, and also by using that, we were able to the non-zero smallest eigenvalues with the same method adapting to A inverse matrix of A, and also shifted power method was introduced. And this inverse power method algorithm, I added one more explanation here. This actually is a formula which was rewritten from this one. So actually, I did adopt the power method on this matrix instead of A. So this guarantees by power method we can get the largest eigenvalue of this matrix, okay, by power method. Here, interesting thing is this. So this CK should converge to the largest eigenvalue of this one, which is the has this form, because this is inverse and this has been shifted. So this algorithm sends CK to this, which can be written in this form by reciprocal. And then if we shift, if we send sigma to this way, then what? Sigma plus 1 over CK converges to lambda T, which is the largest eigenvalue of A, isn't it? Okay. So let that one be the DK, and so that's why it's actually this is what in the detailed information of this algorithm. So that's why this inverse power method algorithm is the power method applied to the matrix of this form, inverse of A minus sigma 1. And I also made a new home page of it, power method in QR, and here, this shows that this iteration work properly, and after a certain power, usually between 10 and 15th power, it converges to it. The algorithm gives us the answer that we were looking for, and okay. Anyway, and this is a review. And I think I didn't mention on the Rayleigh quotient. And Rayleigh quotient of a non-zero vector X with respect to of a matrix is defined in this way. I introduced on this X transpose AX before, okay? And when we define a positive semi-definite matrix, and if this one divided by X transpose X, which is actually norm of 2 norm of X, and then this is called the Rayleigh quotient. The important thing is, if X is an eigenvector with respect to the eigenvalue lambda, then actually lambda of X, R of X, this Rayleigh quotient is an eigenvalue lambda that corresponding to this eigenvector. Okay. So by using this Rayleigh quotient, we can also find the eigenvalue. Okay. And this is the algorithm for finding the largest eigenvalue by using Rayleigh quotient iteration. And yeah, I gave you some homeworks. I think most of you have done what you're supposed to do. Is there anyone who didn't your homework yet? Okay, now after we covered the power method, yeah, we continue the QR decomposition after LU decomposition and Schur decomposition. Okay, then yeah, we will cover Hessenberg form and Household transformation as well. Okay, QR factorization and QR algorithm with shift and implicit QR algorithms. Yes, this is like the given matrix can be factored out as a multiple product of orthogonal matrix and upper triangular matrix. So this is the whole idea. A given matrix can be written as a product of orthogonal matrix and upper triangular matrix, or unitary matrix and upper triangular matrix. And there are some materials that you can use as a reference in here. And also I made some code here, and I already give us some Korean lectures. Here, QR decomposition. Yeah, you can find the Korean lectures in this web address, and some references in here. Okay, anyway, if an M by K matrix A has K linearly independent columns, then the Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process can be used to decompose the matrix A in the form of A is equal to QR, where the columns of Q are the orthonormal vectors obtained by applying the Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization to the columns of A, okay? And R is an upper triangular matrix. So A can be written as a product of eventually the unitary matrix and the triangular matrix. The QR decomposition is widely used to compute numerical solutions to linear systems and least square solve problems and eigenvalue and eigenvector problems. Okay? This is the algorithm. I made it as a one page to show you. If we start with the matrix, say it says A to the zeroth power, 0, A to the 0, let this be A. Give an index on it. Then that K is equal to 0. Then QR factorization makes the given matrix as a product of unitary matrix and upper triangular matrix like this. Okay? QR. Then rewrite this as R to the K times Q to the K and rename it as a K A to the K plus 1 like this. Okay? Given matrix can be factored as a QR, then change the position as RQ like this, then rename it as a AK plus 1. What this means is as you see, you can multiply, since this is the real orthogonal matrix or a complex unitary matrix, the transpose of this matrix, if you multiply transpose of Q to K on both sides, this is going to be an identity matrix. So RK is the QK times AK, Q transpose K times AK. So this R can be written as Q transpose times A. And Q here. What this means is, this is real orthogonal matrix or unitary matrix. So let's say everything's in real now. So these are orthogonal matrices. So this A1 and A0 is similar. So eigenvalue of this and eigenvalue of this are same. Okay? Because R is Q transpose A. This is. Then we can find the QR factorization, QR decomposition of A1 as Q1 and R1. Then rewrite change the position as R1 and Q1 and rename it as a A2. What that means is, since because of this R1 is equal to Q1 transpose A1, so this can be written in this way. So A2 is similar to A1 with orthogonal matrix. It's orthogonally similar. So eigenvalues of this A2 is the same as eigenvalue of A. We continue this to find the QR decomposition of A2 and change the position, make A3, which is similar to A or A0. Then do the same thing for the AK, A4, A5, and AK. And what most important thing is this sequence AK converts to an upper triangular matrix. Upper triangular matrix. In that case, all the eigenvalues are on the main diagonals. So you can easily find the eigenvalues without solving the polynomial. Yeah. And or quasi-triangular matrix like this or this. The quasi-upper triangular matrix. Still, okay. Anyway, yeah, here. So in this algorithm, if we continue, after we continue this QR decomposition, and let the product of QIs are Q hat K, and product of those Ri's are R hat K's like this. Then yeah, at the end we have A K plus 1 is equal to Q K transpose times A times Q K hat. Yeah, Q hat, K hat transpose times A times Q K hat like this. What this means is this is a product of unitary matrix, product of real orthogonal matrix. So this is also real orthogonal matrix. So this matrix AK plus 1 is similar, unitarily similar, real orthogonally similar to a matrix A. So the eigenvalue of this is same as eigenvalue of A. And this is an upper triangular matrix or quasi-triangular matrix. So what? So the eigenvalue of A can be found from here easily. That's the whole idea of QR decomposition. And also the columns of Q hat K, this converts to the unit eigenvectors of A. From here you can assume that these columns of this matrix, since AQ is equal to this times Q hat K times upper triangular matrix like this. So the columns of this matrix act like the eigenvectors. And also, since it's a real orthogonal matrix, so each columns are unit vectors. So this converts to the unit eigenvectors of A. This is the whole idea of QR decomposition. Okay, QR algorithm most widely used method for computing eigenvalues. If you just do the QR decomposition and rotate, change the position and do it again, and after a certain point, yeah, you have the matrix, upper triangular matrix, and whose eigenvalues are on the main diagonals. Okay, then this name QR derived from the use of the letter Q to denote the orthogonal matrix, and the letter R to denote the right triangular matrix. Since in the numerical side, since we are using a real matrices only, so we restrict our terminology for real matrices. Okay, so that's why we are using this real orthogonals. And quasi upper triangular matrix is a kind of a block upper triangular matrix like this, but the matrix either 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 blocks on the diagonal. On the diagonal, we have something like this 2 by 2 or 1 by 1 like this. So the reason of this is from the fundamental theorem of algebra. Okay, when you have a real matrix, the matrix of real entries, the characteristic polynomial is has the all real numbers as a coefficient. So the solution of the polynomial in real can be found in complex. Okay, and also if you have a complex solution, then it always the conjugate of that complex number, the complex solution is also a solution of the polynomial. This comes from the fundamental theorem of algebra. Okay, so this QR algorithm really works to converge to this quasi upper triangular matrix whose main diagonal blocks are 1 by 1 block, which is just eigenvalues, or 2 by 2 block with some with the complex eigenvalues as a pair, like this. So, and all those can be done by doing this factorization. And this factorization can be done by Gram-Schmidt's Ulcer normalization process. Okay, and that is upper triangular matrix. And if A is non-singular, then this factorization is even unique if we require that the diagonal element of R are positive. Okay. This QR decomposition can be done with Gram-Schmidt's also normalization process, which is if we have a basis and linearly independent vectors in Rn, then we can obtain an orthonormal basis for Rn from this set of linear independent vectors. And the idea is from here, from the given one, we do the projection over again until we get the normalized vectors and normalized vectors from those. And this is the whole idea of Gram-Schmidt's also normalization. This can be done by let a lambda at let y1 is equal to x1, then let w1 be a subspace spanned by y1, and let y2 as a x2 minus projection of x2 on w1. Then clearly this y2 and y1 or and x1 they are orthogonal. And then let W2 be the subspace spanned by y1 and y2, and let y3 is a x3 minus projection of x3 onto W2. Then y3 is orthogonal to y1 and y2. And repeat the same procedure to get yk as a xk minus projection of xk onto wk minus 1. Then this yk is orthogonal to y1, y2, y3, and yk minus 1. So we have all orthogonal vectors. Then we just normalize this yi's and say as a gk. Then this g1, g2, gn are orthogonal and all unit vectors. So these forms also normal basis for Rn. This is the whole idea of also Gram-Schmidt's also normalization process. So for example, if we have the linearly independent vectors the matrix A whose columns are linearly independent vectors, then do use the Gram-Schmidt's also normalization process like this. Then and we usually use the L2 norm on this, and then we can find U1, U2, and UN, which are unitary vectors in UIs, and we find the orthogonal vectors and normalize it. Then these EIs are normalized vectors. Then this matrix can be written as the normalized vectors E1, E2, En, and this matrix, which is the upper triangular matrix. And the columns of this matrix are also normal. So this is a real orthogonal matrix, and this is upper triangular matrix. So we can write this as a Q unit real orthogonal matrix and upper triangular matrix QR. So this can be done. So a matrix A can be written as a product of orthogonal matrix and upper triangular matrix with those Gram-Schmidt orthonormalization process. For example, if we have a matrix A like this, then from here we do adopt the Gram-Schmidt orthonormalization process to find U1, U2, U3 and normalize it as a E1, E2, E3. Then this matrix, this is an orthogonal matrix. And if we find the entries like this, then this is upper triangular matrix. We can easily check product of these two are the given matrix A. And Q transpose Q is identity, so this is a unit orthogonal matrix. So that's the simple example. And QR decomposition with Gram-Schmidt. So yeah, this is the rewriting of what I said. It's up let A be A0 and for case, and we do the what QR factorization and replace it, and there is some assumption then A can convert to pseudo form of A. So this converts the upper triangular matrix or quasi upper triangular matrix. And if A is a symmetric matrix, then it approaches to a diagonal matrix because it's diagonalizable. So, and this is algorithm here. With the power, the same here to understand QR algorithm. First, consider simple algorithm. Symmetric iteration is power iteration. Actually, power iteration can be applied here for the linear independent vectors VI's. From power iteration, this AK V10 converts to Q1. With some assumption, this space should converge to Q1 to Qn, and define the initial matrix V0 and Vk at the step K. Then V0 can be written in this way, and Vk can be written in this way, and that actually. And this is this is another way of writing the QR factorization. Next, unnormalized simultaneous iteration. Define well-behaved basis for column space of Vk by this Vk. Then, with the assumption that the leading n plus 1 eigenvalues are distinct, and all principal leading principal submatrix of this are non-singular, where the columns of Q hat is Qi's, then we have that the columns of the Qk hat converts to the eigenvectors of A. Actually, this is what I said already. The matrix is if the matrix is highly ill-conditioned, then also normalization at each step rather than at the end. If the system is highly ill-conditioned, then take the normalization process later. But those are kind of tipped. Anyway, at the end, it is now to focus on the cost of the QR algorithm. How much cost is needed to do those computations. This is very expensive, as usually a large number of iteration is required to attain convergence. Usually it's very expensive. So to cure this problem is the transformation of the matrix to upper Hessenberg form, H. When this is done, the cost and the iteration is reduced to big O of n square. So instead of n cube. It can be dramatically reduced with this upper Hessenberg form. What is the Hessenberg form? Okay, I will first think about this Haushalder transformation first. Let H be this matrix with the vector A. If we have a n by 1 vector, then n by 1 times A transpose, which is 1 by n, this is going to be an n by n matrix. And A transpose A is a scalar. So this is a n by n matrix, and this is an n by n matrix. So I minus this matrix is also a n by n matrix. This matrix. We can rewrite in this way when this, where if we use this the two norms as a unit vector, like, then this is a 1 by n matrix, like this. With this we call this is a Hausfeld transformation. This is a matrix representation of Hausfeld transformation. Okay. And why this is important? First, let this H1 is let this is H1 for the matrix, for this matrix, and multiply H1 to A makes these entries are 0. So A1 can be written as this, and so let H2 be a n by n matrix of this form, where H2 head is I minus n minus 1 minus this matrix. It's smaller. Okay, and that and continue this. Then what happens is with this H matrices, let's continue this. What this means is the matrix R can be written as the product on A. We can multiply this H1 and H2 and H3 and continue it. Then we're gonna have an upper triangular matrix R like this. The important thing is this is if we let this the product of this matrix as Q, then A can be written as Q times R, and this matrix is a orthogonal matrix. So product of real orthogonal matrix is a real orthogonal matrix Q, and R is an upper triangular matrix. So upper triangular the QR factorization can be done with this special form of the matrix if we use it inductively. So QR factorization can be done with this Hausfeld transformation. That's why, and you can find my lecture note in here, and also other, more information on Hausfeld transformation on the wikis. And this is why the most of the elementary linear algebra book, introductory linear algebra book, has an example to show find the property of this special type of matrix. This matrix, which is called the Hausfeld matrix, has the following properties. First, this matrix is Hermitian. It's a symmetry, real symmetry, Hermitian. P is equal to P conjugate transpose. And P is unitary. P inverse is P transpose, conjugate transpose. And the P square is an identity matrix. So this matrix has so many nice properties. Since it's a Hermitian matrix, the product of this Hermitian matrix, which was Q, is a unitary matrix. The product of this unitary matrix was a unitary matrix, actually real orthogonal matrix. So Q was the product of this. Q was the product of these Hausfeld transformations. So this is unitary matrix, and this was upper triangular matrix like this. So this, if we use this transformation, QR factorization can be done more effectively. And also, how Hessenberg form via a Hausfeld reflection. When the matrix A is given like this, it's a one block matrix like this, then choose the Hausfeld reflection H1 such that H1 A21 is equal to V1 E1. Then H1 A H1 can be written in this way. H1 is a Hausfeld transformation. So this is a real orthogonal, this is a unitary matrix, actually. So H transpose is H inverse, and H transpose is H itself. Since it's a Hermitian. So H1 inverse A H1 is this, and H1 inverse is H1 itself. So this matrix and this matrix are similar, unitarily similar. Okay? Okay, so the eigenvalue structure of this is same as eigenvalue structure of this. Let's say, so we have annihilated the element below the first column via a similarity transformation. We can repeat this process for all steps to obtain an upper Hessenberg form like this. So eventually, after certain steps, this matrix, we can find the similar matrix, which has the same eigenvalues, and whose form is a Hessenberg form like this. Okay, then it is much easier to find the eigenvalue of such a form. It's almost upper triangular matrix. So eigenvalues are very close to find from there. And also, the next one is a QR algorithm with shift. When explicit QR algorithm with shift can be written as follows for any matrix. For example, if AK minus K, RKI is equal to QK RK, and this K, so we can find a similar matrix by just shift a little bit. Okay, and this from here we can write this one. This one can be written in this way. And also this one can be written in this way. So subtract and add like this, and then what we have is what we have a similarity. We have a similarity. So eigenvalue structure of this is same as eigenvalue structure of this one. So therefore, they're related through the similarity transformation. So we can, even though we do shift and use the QR factorization, then we can safely find the eigenvalue they are looking for. We can just shift it and do all the same thing and to find it. Then, so we can get away from those instability of the algorithm. And the outline of the implicit shift QR algorithm. We determine the first column of C, and now Q0 be a household transformation such that like this, then let H1 be this. Then use a household transformation to reduce H1 into the upper Hessenberg form, call it in this like this form. Then and call Q1 the accumulated transformation. Then set Q hat as a product of those. Then we will have a household Hessenberg form, which is similar to from the original one. Okay, the next thing is then make sure how this algorithm works. In order to do so, we need to show Q hat and R hat are matrices that we would have obtained using the explicit QR algorithm. The ones that we found this Q hat and R QR is the same as what we found from the other, the earlier way. So theoretically, it's quite easy. When we have computational difficulties, then we can use some perturbations like that. We can shift. We can just shift. We can shift and do the QR algorithm, or we can use the household transformation. And there are so many variations by using the same method. We also need to show that C and the reduction of H1 to upper triangle Hessenberg can be computed rapidly. So after we have the Hessenberg form, then we can easily find the eigenvalues and eigenvectors. Okay. Okay. Implicit Q theorem states that for matrix A of order n, then that H is equal to Q star AQ be a reduction of H to Hessenberg form. So with those, then we have a Hessenberg form. If the element of the lower diagonal matrix of H are non-zero, then Q and H are uniquely determined by the first or last column of Q. Okay. And now we compare the cost of explicit QR and implicit QR algorithms. To computate, the computation of C takes only Q of n operations because only the first three components of C are non-zeros. This is a big O notation that you already know. if there exists n at and such that f of x is the c such that this operation, absolute value of this operation less than c times n for all n bigger than capital N. Okay, and and the reduction of H1 to upper Hessenberg can be done in O of n square, big O of n square, and the total cost of implicit QR for k iteration is 2kn cube additions plus 2kn cube multiplications. Total cost of explicit QR for k iterations are the 8kn cube addition plus 12kn cube multiplication. So you can see the differences between these different QR algorithms. Okay, so we can choose the proper algorithms to be used. Okay. So as you see, one step of implicit QR algorithm is almost 2 steps of explicit QR algorithms. That's what we can found. I think that's the end of QR factorization, and we will continue for the Google PageRank algorithms. Before we continue, I assigned you to do some problems on each of these categories and summarize what you have learned on QR factorization and the earliest, and find one QR decomposition of one of your matrix A and submit in Q&A. And I made that your tentative team like this. You can trade or you can fix your team to work together. Okay, I think that's the end of QR. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Any questions?